The internet has a dark side filled with mysteries, lies, and crimes that almost slipped away forever.
She is so great.
But in the chaos, ordinary users became investigators. From a Facebook group that tracked a future killer, to Reddit users identifying a hit-and-run suspect from a tiny piece of plastic, these are the 20 most disturbing mysteries ever solved by the internet. Email predicted the murder. In 2010, a video appeared online of a man suffocating kittens in a vacuum seal bag. A Facebook group formed almost immediately. Led by data analyst Deanna Thompson and researcher John Green, the group did what police couldn't or wouldn't. They analyzed GPS data embedded in photographs. They matched a gas station in the background of one image to a specific Toronto street using Google Maps Street View. They identified the vacuum brand, only sold in North America, and traced it to a retailer. They identified the man as Luka Magnotta. They contacted Toronto police, the RCMP animal protection agencies, British newspapers. Police opened a file and explained they could not act. He had only killed cats. The group's investigator sent an email to Montreal police that contained one explicit sentence. Yes, he is only killing cats right now, but the next will be a human. That email exists on record. Police confirmed receiving it. In May 2012, Magnotta lured Chinese international student Jun Lin to his Montreal apartment through Craigslist.
Doubt Luka Magnotta killed Jun Lin, but today a jury found beyond a reasonable doubt
he murdered him on camera and posted the video online. He fled to Paris, then Berlin, where police found him in an internet cafe, reading news articles about himself. He was convicted of first-degree murder in 2014 and sentenced to life. The Facebook group had identified him 2 years before the murder. They had named him. They had warned in writing that a human being would be next. They sent the warning to the exact police force whose jurisdiction would cover the crime. Jun Lin was murdered 1 year after that email was received. The internet was right about everything, years before anyone with the authority to act was willing to listen. Steubenville. They were deleting everything.
2 high school football players have been found guilty of raping a 16-year-old girl at a party last October.
In Steubenville, Ohio, a 16-year-old girl was sexually assaulted by members of a high school football team. The assault was photographed and filmed and shared across Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube by teenagers who watched and participated. Local police investigated. The community closed ranks. The school closed ranks. Evidence was being deleted from social media as fast as it appeared. Photographs, tweets, videos, all of it scrubbed in real time as the perpetrators and their supporters understood what was at stake. Then a true crime blogger named Alexandria Goddard started archiving.
Proves that there was a 12-minute video. I found the...
She published everything before it could be permanently erased. The internet exploded. Anonymous, the Hacktivist Collective, recovered a video that had been uploaded and deleted. 12 minutes of a participant laughing and joking about what had happened to the girl in graphic detail.
She is so great.
That video is what turned international attention to Steubenville, when local authorities had been quietly preparing to let it go. 2 athletes were convicted of rape in juvenile court in 2013. 4 school officials were subsequently indicted for covering up the assault. Without Goddard's archiving in those critical hours, and without Anonymous recovering what had been deliberately erased, the evidence trail would have been gone before it could be used. The perpetrators understood that the internet was the only thing that could stop them. They were right. Todd Matthews and Tent Girl. He heard a ghost story at a Halloween party when he was 17 and spent the next 11 years of his life trying to solve it. The story was about a dead woman. His girlfriend's father had found her body wrapped in canvas tarpaulin by a roadside in Georgetown, Kentucky in 1968. No identification. Murdered. Nobody ever knew who she was. Locally, they called her Tent Girl, and her case had been cold for nearly 20 years. The story consumed Matthews completely. Then the internet arrived. In 1997, Matthews built one of the very first missing persons websites, dedicated entirely to identifying Tent Girl. He combed early online classified boards obsessively every night. In January 1998, he found a post from a woman in Arkansas named Rosemary Westbrook. He's searching for her missing sister Barbara, who had vanished from Lexington, Kentucky in 1967. The details aligned. DNA testing confirmed it. Tent Girl was Barbara Ann Hackman Taylor. 24 years old, a mother whose 8-month-old daughter had been left behind when she was killed. Her husband, a carnival worker who had never reported her missing and told her family she had run off with another man, died of cancer in 1987 and was never charged. Barbara's daughter had grown up in Ohio believing her mother had abandoned her. She was 30 years old when Todd Matthews found the truth. Todd Matthews went on to co-found the Doe Network, a global database that has since helped identify hundreds of unidentified victims worldwide.
The Doe Network is an international organization that works on missing and unidentified persons, and
he is recognized as the world's first internet sleuth. It started with a ghost story at a party when he was 17 years old. Yay Video Games. In September 2010, a Reddit user named Yay Video Games appeared in a gaming thread and began posting the same nonsensical phrase nearly 4,000 times. Ubisoft goes Steamwork bye-bye always on DRM. Different formatting each time, bold, italic, all caps. Accompanied by deeply unsettling images, no explanation. Then the account deleted itself and vanished. Most people assumed it was a troll or an advanced bot. For years it remained an unexplained internet anomaly, something strange that happened once and left no answer behind. Then a Reddit user named SoLegitHS decided to investigate, hoping to find a hidden ARG or puzzle. What they uncovered instead was not what anyone expected. In cross-referencing multiple accounts connected to the same user, the investigator found a main profile where the person had written openly and at length about their life. He was not trolling. He was not a bot. He was a man suffering from severe chronic illness that left him in constant, unmanageable pain. The medication had destabilized his mental state, producing manic episodes. His posts documented years of deterioration in careful, quiet, heartbreaking detail. In early 2015, he ended his life. The internet laughed at a dying man's breakdown for 5 years. The investigator who went looking for an ARG found a human being instead. There was no puzzle. There was never a puzzle. Lily Peters. On April 24, 2022, 10-year-old Lily Peters left her home in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, to visit her aunt 3 minutes away by bicycle. She never arrived. Her father found her bike abandoned near a trail. The following morning, a volunteer found her body hidden under a pile of leaves. Police had nothing. No witnesses. Then a post about Lily's case appeared on Reddit's True Crime Forum. Among the hundreds of speculative comments, one stood out and then disappeared. A user called Homeslice Nation 4 wrote that they had been playing Pokemon Go on that trail the same afternoon and had seen Lily in a pink and purple hoodie walking with another kid. The comment ended with, "I have a suspicion it could be another kid that did it." The user deleted the comment almost immediately, but another Reddit user had already copied it and called the police tip line to report it. That single deleted comment gave investigators their first lead. Within hours, they arrested Carson Prosser, Lily's 14-year-old cousin. He confessed.
A boy is now charged with murdering a Wisconsin girl in the woods.
He had been planning the attack for months. He had followed her from the trail into the woods. He went home afterward as if nothing had happened and came back later to move the body. A deleted Reddit comment, preserved for less than an hour, is the reason he did not get away with it. Grateful Doe His mother spent 20 years thinking he was alive somewhere. He had been buried in Virginia the entire time under a name that wasn't his. They made the only things that came out of his pockets at the crash scene in Emporia, Virginia were 2 Grateful Dead concert tickets, a yellow lighter, $1 in quarters, and a handwritten note that read, "To Jason, sorry we had to go. See you around. Caroline O. and Caroline T. No ID, face too badly damaged to identify." They buried him as Grateful Doe. 20 years passed. His mother had not reported him missing because she did not know which state he had last been in and assumed he was just living his life somewhere the way young people do. Then an Austrian Reddit user posted a reconstructed sketch of his face to Imgur, and 500,000 people saw it. A former roommate recognized him. He messaged the subreddit. The sketch looked like a man named Jason he had lived with in Illinois. The community traced his half-sister to New Jersey. When she saw the composite, she said her father was looking back at her. DNA confirmed it in December 2015. Jason Patrick Callahan, 19 years old, from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. His mother had spent 2 decades not knowing her son had a grave. It took 500,000 strangers and 1 Reddit post to give him back to her. Tammy Joe Alexander. On November 10, 1979, a farmer in Colonia, New York, found a teenage girl's body face down in his cornfield. She had been shot twice. Her pockets had been turned inside out. All identification had been removed. For 35 years, she was known only as Colonia Jane Doe, or Callie. Investigators sent flyers to police departments across the United States and Canada. America's Most Wanted featured her case. Over 10,000 tips were examined. Nobody came forward. Nobody matched. She had simply never been officially reported missing anywhere in the country. In 2014, a web sleuth named Carl Koppelman, an accountant who spent his spare time browsing NamUs, the National Database of Missing and Unidentified Persons, was scrolling new listings when a profile stopped him. A teenage girl missing from Brooksville, Florida since 1979. Light brown wavy hair, bikini tan lines, a history of hitchhiking. Carl had spent years reconstructing Callie's face from morgue photographs. He had drawn her portrait from bone measurements and autopsy notes. The moment he saw the NamUs listing photograph, he recognized his own drawing. He emailed the Livingston County Sheriff's Office that same day. DNA confirmed it in January 2015. Tammy Joe Alexander, 16 years old, from Florida. Her name had been 2 databases away for 35 years. It took a volunteer with a screen and a good memory to connect them. Post-it notes. He lived alone, and he was leaving himself notes he had no memory of writing. Chore lists. Reminders. One that read, "Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important we do." He set up a webcam to catch whoever was entering his apartment. The footage was gone in the morning. He compared the handwriting to letters from his landlord. It matched. Convinced someone was breaking in, he posted to Reddit's legal advice thread asking how to press charges. What he got instead was a single question from a user named Kakerlak. "Do you get bad headaches?" The answer was yes. Kakerlak explained the theory: carbon monoxide poisoning. His windowless bedroom had no ventilation. The gas had been building silently for weeks, causing confusion, memory loss. He bought a carbon monoxide detector. The alarm went off the moment it was plugged in. The notes were real. He had written every single one himself during episodes of poisoning and then forgotten them entirely. The missing footage was a software malfunction the recordings had never saved. The handwriting he matched to his landlord was actually a letter from his mother. Reddit did not solve a mystery about notes. Reddit identified a gas leak that would have killed him. Doug DeBruin. In 2002, Missouri police arrested a man named Doug DeBruin for the suspected murder of his roommate Gregory May, an antiques dealer whose $70,000 collection had vanished along with him. The problem was devastating in its simplicity. No body. Without physical evidence of a victim, the case was disintegrating. What investigators had was a skull encased in a bucket of concrete found on Bruan's property. A forensic sculptor created a clay bust of the face. The bust was posted to the Doe Network, an early online message board connecting missing persons cases with unidentified remains. Ellen Leach was a woman from Mississippi who spent her spare time browsing the board. She had 2 cousins who had gone missing years earlier and had never been found. She compared cases the way other people read the news. She found the clay bust. She matched it to a missing persons listing for Gregory May. DNA testing confirmed the skull was May's. The result came back days before Bruan's murder trial was due to begin. The defense had been preparing to argue there was no body. Ellen Leach, browsing an internet message board in her spare time in Mississippi, is the reason that argument was never made. Bruan was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Hidden camera outlet. She already knew something was wrong. She had a stalker. Her apartment had been broken into before. So when she noticed that one of her electrical outlets looked different from the others, slightly off, slightly wrong, she bought a camera detector for peace of mind. It detected radio frequencies and infrared reflection coming from the outlet. She posted photographs to Reddit explaining her history and asking if she was imagining things. 40 minutes later, a user had tracked down the exact product online. It was a wireless 4K surveillance camera disguised as a standard GFCI outlet and capable of transmitting live video over Wi-Fi with no visible indication it was recording. The community told her immediately, "Leave the building. Call the police. Do not go back alone." She confirmed the identification in the comments, and then the account went silent. She had created a throwaway specifically for that post and never updated it. Nobody knows what happened next. Nobody knows if she was safe. What the internet confirmed in 40 minutes was this: someone had been watching her from inside the wall of her own home. And the only reason she found out was because something felt wrong about an outlet. Carrie May Parker. Carrie May Parker was 23 years old when she vanished in 1991. She had left home in her blue Buick Skylark to buy a birthday bicycle for her son, who was turning 6. She never came back.
And she was going to throw him a birthday party. I think he was going to turn 6. And she never showed up.
In her 3 children, the youngest just 5 years old, were told by relatives that their mother had chosen to leave, that she had abandoned them. Relatives tried to file missing person reports. One was never submitted. Another was classified as a welfare check. A real investigation did not begin for decades. By then, there were no leads left. In 2020, Carrie's daughter, Brandy, who had been that 5-year-old girl, reached out to a YouTube diving group called Adventures with Purpose, who filmed their cold case searches and posted them online. They searched Lake Tawakoni along Carrie's route and located the badly deteriorated wreckage of her Buick on camera. No remains were found initially. The team returned. This time, they recovered fragments of bone and Carrie's necklace. DNA confirmed her identity in May 2022. The car had been in that lake for 30 years, 300 meters from the road she was driving when she disappeared. Carrie Parker had not abandoned her children. She had never made it out of the county. Nicole Vanderhiden. On May 21, 2016, Nicole Vanderhiden's body was found in a wooded area outside Green Bay, Wisconsin. She was 31 years old and had left a bar alone the night before after an argument with her boyfriend Doug. Doug became the immediate prime suspect. Evidence of a struggle was found near his home. A phone cord matching bruises on Nicole's neck was recovered nearby. It appeared to be a closed case. The device showed he had not left his house after putting his son to bed. DNA from Nicole's body belonged to an unknown male. The DNA was submitted to databases and matched to George Stephen Birch, a man who had been separately investigated for a hit-and-run incident, during which police had cloned his phone. That cloned phone was connected to a Google account. Using Google's online location dashboard, investigators traced Birch's movements on the night of the murder in precise detail. His phone showed him driving to Nicole's home, stopping for 15 minutes, driving to the location where her body was found, driving to where her belongings were discovered, driving home. He claimed Doug had attacked Nicole and forced him to help hide the body. His own phone had recorded every movement that made that story impossible. He was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Susan Rainwater hit and run. On August 9, 2018, Susan Rainwater set out on her regular cycling route through Eatonville, Washington. She never came home. Her husband found her bicycle destroyed by the side of the road, and Susan lying nearby. She had been struck from behind at speed by a vehicle that did not stop. By the time investigators arrived, the driver was gone. There were no cameras, there were no witnesses, and the road offered almost nothing, except one small fragment of black plastic that had broken from the front of the vehicle on impact. Investigators had no idea what it was or what car it belonged to. A state trooper posted the fragment photograph to Twitter asking for help. It received almost no response. Someone reposted it to Reddit. Within hours, hundreds of users were analyzing the piece. And then a user named Jeff's Nuts, a state vehicle inspector from Maryland, left a single comment. He recognized the piece as a headlight bezel notch, specifically from a 1988 Chevrolet Silverado. Investigators immediately began searching for matching vehicles. 5 days later, they had their man, Jeremy Thomas Simon. He claimed he thought he had hit a deer. His car contained a bag of hard drugs. He was sentenced to 4.5 years. One comment on a Reddit post, 5 days. A killer identified from a piece of plastic the size of a fist. Kanye Quest 3030. Nobody expected a Kanye West fan game to become one of the most disturbing internet mysteries of the decade. But buried inside the 2013 RPG was a secret. If you typed the word ascend at a specific prompt, the game opened a hidden section that asked for your personal details, name, address, city, zip code, and promised to contact you within 2 weeks with further instructions. The references to Ascension pointed to real cult belief systems. Forums erupted. Thousands of people entered their personal information. People waited. Some claimed they received contact. A YouTube documentary investigated it. Game Theory devoted an entire video to it. Trails led to defunct forums, a PayPal link, a musician named Valerie who denied involvement. The mystery deepened with every answer. Then a web series tracked down one of the original game testers who led them to the creator. Her name was Clara. She was 17 years old when she built it. Kanye Quest 3030 was her Year 12 school project. With the hidden ARG section was a puzzle mechanic she designed for fun. Nobody was ever contacted. No data was ever collected. The game was not connected to the internet at all. The personal details entered by thousands of people went precisely nowhere. A decade of dread. A teenager's homework assignment. Satoshi Find Me. In 2005, a British game company released a puzzle card game called Perplex City. 256 cards. 255 had solutions. The final card, card number 256, showed a photograph of a Japanese man and 4 words. Find me. My name is Satoshi. No other clue. What began as a puzzle became a 15-year global obsession. Players flew to France after identifying the background of his photograph. Facial recognition technology was deployed. A subreddit dedicated entirely to finding him accumulated thousands of members across multiple generations of internet users. Satoshi himself watched silently from a distance, as per the rules. He would only respond if contacted directly. Then in December 2020, a Reddit user ran his photograph through updated facial recognition software and matched it to a group photo on a Japanese metal company's website. The community layered the images. Moles matched. Features matched. The founder of the Find Satoshi website contacted the executive directly. His reply arrived the same day. He confirmed he was Satoshi. He said he had completely forgotten about the game. He said he was just an ordinary man. 15 years of searching, one email, done. The Backrooms. In May 2019, a single photograph appeared on 4chan. A dimly lit room, yellowing wallpaper, buzzing fluorescent lights. That specific quality of wrongness that is difficult to name, but impossible to ignore. The internet named it the Backrooms, a dimension you could accidentally slip into if you stepped through the wrong wall at the wrong moment. The mythology exploded. Levels were mapped. Monsters were designed. Stories were written. A film was made. Fan communities spanning millions of people built entire universes around it. And for 5 years, nobody could identify where the original photograph had been taken. Theories flooded forums. Expeditions were mounted to locations that looked similar. Nothing matched. The answer had existed online the entire time. One person had tweeted it in 2019, linking the photograph directly to the website of a retail company called Hobbytown, matching it precisely to a store in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. The tweet was buried within hours and forgotten. 5 years later, internet detectives traced the original file through archived forums until they found it. The foundation of an entire mythology built by millions of people across 5 years. It was a hobby town. The room had since been renovated into an RC car racetrack. John Titor. In November 2000, a user appeared in an online time travel forum and announced he was from the year 2036. His name was John Titor. He had photographs of his time machine, technical manuals, detailed quantum physics explanations. He predicted civil war in the United States before 2004, nuclear strikes on major cities by 2015, the complete collapse of the American government by 2008. Thousands believed him. His story inspired anime series, video games, and devoted fan communities that persisted for nearly 2 decades. Then 2004 arrived. No civil war. Scientists examined his physics and found sophisticated-sounding nonsense assembled to sound credible to non-specialists. Reddit computer experts dismantled his IBM claims entirely. A private investigator hired by an Italian documentary traced his posts to a specific IP address in Clearwater, Florida. Internet researcher John Houston published a detailed expose naming a Florida entertainment lawyer as the man behind the account. In 2018, a multimedia consultant named Joseph Matheny finally admitted the full truth. John Titor was a promotional character created to generate interest in an alternate reality game that was canceled before it launched. The game never existed. The legend accidentally outlived it by 18 years. The internet built him. Then the internet took him apart piece by piece. Silk dress Cipher. In February 2014, a woman named Sarah Rivers Caulfield posted to her historical clothing blog about a Victorian-era dress she had purchased. Bronze fabric, detailed buttons, hidden interior pocket, and inside that pocket, 2 balls of crumpled paper smoothed out to reveal lines of words that made no sense to anyone. Bismarck, omit, leafage, Buckbank, Cairo. Cryptographers arrived immediately. Civil War spy theories emerged. Telegraph cipher theories followed. For almost a decade, nobody cracked it. Then researcher Wayne Chan reviewed 170 codebooks before finding the answer in an 1892 U.S. Army Signal Corps weather manual. Each word in each line corresponded to meteorological data: temperature, pressure, wind direction, precipitation. Bismarck omit leafage Buckbank translated precisely to Bismarck 56 degrees, pressure 30.08, dew point 32, clear sky, no precipitation, north wind, 12 miles per hour. A 10-year cryptographic mystery solved by the internet. The answer was a weather forecast. Why it was hidden in a secret pocket of a Victorian dress, stitched inside with care and intention, remains completely unknown. Woman ochre Google lens. In April 1985, a man in a black raincoat walked into the Harwood Museum of Art in Taos, New Mexico, lifted 2 paintings from the walls, and walked back out. No alarms triggered. The theft was so casual, it barely made the local papers. Both paintings disappeared completely. 40 years passed. Then, in 2017, an unrelated art crime surfaced. A stolen Duchamp painting recovered from a deceased couple's home in Arizona. The internet's true crime community became obsessed with the couple's collection. One sleuth named Lashar wasn't satisfied when the FBI cleared the other artworks. Using Google Lens to run a reverse image search on a painting sold at auction, he found it listed under a different name on a poster website. That listing led to an art book. That book identified the painting as property of the Harwood Museum, stolen in 1985. Lashar contacted the university. The FBI took the case. Both paintings were recovered. A 40-year-old theft solved by a reverse image search that took less than an afternoon. TikTok found him Mexico, and Benjamin Williams had been missing for 3 years. Not missing in the traditional sense. He knew exactly where he was. He was hiding. On July 31st, 2021, Williams had lured 27-year-old Joanna Pekka to a cemetery in St. Petersburg, Florida, under the pretense of meeting his infant son. She was shot multiple times through her car window while holding the baby. Williams fled immediately and vanished. Described by police as armed and dangerous, wanted in connection with multiple other crimes, and seemingly impossible to find. 3 years of investigative work produced nothing. Then, a true crime TikTok account posted local news coverage of the case. The video was shared hundreds of times and traveled far beyond its original audience. On November 27, 2024, someone in Mexico watched it. They recognized the man in the photograph. Different hair, different look, but the same face. They contacted the embassy. Williams was arrested. 3 years of silence, broken by a 30-second TikTok clip, reaching the one person in the world who had seen his face. The internet solved all 20. Subscribe so you never miss the next one, and tell me in the comments which one you cannot stop thinking about.